Welcome to Mercy's Designs. My name is Mercy and I demonstrate Stampin' Up! Products. Today I would like to show you this really cute card, and this is a fun fold and it is called a wallet card. So when you open it up, which I have it velcroed shut, you can have a gift card. So that's where I've chosen this. And then you can have these little inserts. So you can pull them out and write a personal note there. And then they just slide back in, so they're little pockets. So this card was inspired by Rose Ward, Stamper's Delight. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her. But I did definitely make a lot of changes, and the one she showed I think was from He's the Man. And this one obviously is more Christmas themed. So it's super simple. I'm gonna bring in my measurements here. And I will also put this in the description below. I use Joyful Flurry stamp set, and the measurements is the base is 4 inches by 10 inches, and then scored at 5 inches. So that part is super simple. So I've done that ahead of time. I'll show you that right here. So in order to make it look more like a wallet, you can curve the one corner, and I will do that. But first, I'm going to start by making the pockets. So I have these pieces of paper that will fit into the pockets. So you can see there is a border. Now, what I recommend using is tear and tape with your DSP. And they're 2 pieces. And I cut them long so you can line up the pattern. Do you see that? That lines up. So what I like to do is bring them in. I'll back out a little bit, flip them over when I know I have the right, position, and then start adding my tear and tape. So I will speed this part up because it just is about adding it and taking off the tape. Okay, so when you're adding this part, what I find the easiest way is just to pay attention to that border. There's only an 1/8 inch border there, and I'm trying to just clear the center fold where it's creased. And you notice I'm keeping the paper in here. That's just so that we make sure there's a little room there. It kind of expands it just a tiny bit, I think. It's not 100% necessary, but it definitely won't hurt. So now I'm going to add this pocket. And by the way, if you're curious about the DSP, this one's called Rose of Holly, yes. They have several beautiful patterns. The first one was also one of the more neutral patterns. So you can see I've left a little bit of border here. I could have added a little bit more, but that's okay. All right, so the next is the credit card or the gift card pocket. And again, I like to leave it in place. That way we make sure that we have enough space. So I'll just, again, quickly add this. I want to kind of center this. It doesn't have to be 100% centered, and make sure, and I leave a little bit of a border around this. So this paper is 2 inches by 4 3/8. It could be 4 1/4 though. I just added a little extra just so it makes the gift card a little less tight. Okay, so now you can just slide it in and out. And we're gonna now switch to decorating the front. So I will bring in this corner rounder. This is a retired trio punch. So I'm gonna punch out the top 2 corners, and it just makes it more rounded. I don't know, definitely not necessary, but very easy to do, as you can see, very quick. And I already pre-embossed this and I sponged over it with the Sahara sand, and that is tone on tone, just to add a little more definition. This is the Fern 3D embossing folder I used. So I think ferns look kind of Christmassy, not overly, but I was just kind of going for a lot of texture. And the Sahara sand I love that color. It's very neutral. It's very similar to crumb cake, but a little lighter. So definitely very pretty and gives a nice masculine vibe, I think. The card would be could be for either men or women. Definitely not too specific. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the Stamparatus, and I'm going to do a little stamping. So I have, just move this here. I have the die cuts already die cut out. So they're really pretty. This is part of the bundle with the stamp set Joyful Flurry. They're called Frosted Flurry dies. So again, that information I will have in the description. So all you have to do with this technique, I've already run it through stamped on this scrap paper and run it through the die cutting machine with the dies. And then I can just re-pop them back in, and I don't have to line them up every single time. So it's a time saver, and it actually saves quite a bit of paper because you don't have to be as careful when you're cutting them out that you're lining it up and allowing enough area where you're stamping. There's just a lot of benefits. Definitely a great technique if you're looking to mass produce or prepare, in my case, for a class. So the stampers can just put them back in, essentially. So I just press down, and to get them out, I would suggest one or two things. You can either use a pokey tool and pry it out, or you can simply lift and pop them back out. And then obviously you put that back in place. So I will just do that. In this case, I'm gonna just set this back in and move it aside. Okay, so now we can continue our decorating. I'm gonna bring back in our base, and I already pre-stamped the sentiment onto Cherry Cobbler. So, and I embossed it with white embossing powder. And I think that's really pretty. I do like that kind of look for Christmas cards, especially with the embossing. And you get the automatic, you don't have to layer as much I like stamping on white paper and then matting it. But if you want a different dramatic look with the color, obviously if I stamped on this with regular ink, it would not work quite so well. It would not show up, is what I mean, on such a dark cardstock. And I think this Cherry Cobbler is kind of a cardstock I can forget about for a while. And then when I use it again, I realize just how beautiful it is. And I should use that more often, sort of like that. So I'm going to try to add these dimensionals real quick. Okay, so now we're going to decorate inside, and I have stamped and die cut this out. I didn't mention that this is the deckled rectangle die, but all the sentiments are actually from Joyful Flurry, which is pretty remarkable for me. I'm always borrowing from other sets, but in this case, they all worked so wonderfully. And I'm not popping up any of this part because it's the inside of the card, and I don't want to add too much bulk. So I'm just adding the little snowflake to the corner there. And I liked just something to kind of balance the color, Joyful Flurry. And this ink is part of the Evening Evergreen, onto the soft succulent paper. So I thought that kind of ties the two of these together balances it. Okay, so the final thing are those little pockets. Now, when you add these little tab things, one of the things I noticed is it really helps you. I'm going to first go ahead and add these in here. It really helps you actually with being able to pull it out again. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can see it fits in, but there's still a little space there. That way, you know, when you have the card shut, it doesn't get in the way. So I just am going to kind of center these. And again, this is your place to write a little personal note. I think this would be really nice to give at Christmas time for someone you're going to give a gift card to. And it could definitely go for as masculine or feminine. Christmas things generally are pretty neutral, which is nice. Christmas sets. All right, so what I was saying is, I'm going to try it with this one. It helps you kind of can grip it when you have that little tab. So I think that's really cool. All right, so the final thing we're going to do is we're going to add the Velcro. Okay, it's not going super smoothly right now. All right, so the Velcro. So I have already lined them up, the front and the back of the Velcro. And then I just simply snip the two off. And the side that's a little bit more soft, I generally like to do that. And you definitely want to add it on the right side because there's less space, meaning like you want to be able to, here you have more flexibility. There's a lot of area, but here you don't. So definitely start with the right side, then you flip it off. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you have any stamping needs, please email me at mewants3@gmail.com and I'd be happy to help you place an order with a host code. So you're supposed to wait a little bit to open that. But anyway, so here is the wallet gift card holder card. And again, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and happy stamping.